Ya estamos de regreso en tu programa Detrás del Cine y antes de continuar quiero mandar saludos a todas las personas que están pendientes del programa tanto en el canal como en la página de Facebook, que es www.com/Detrás del Cine TV Lobo. Ellos son Nancy Ortiz, José Reveles, Eric Reyes, Gabo Flores, Ana Victoria, Jessy Mesa, Américo Guzmán, Lourdes Ibarra, Everna y por supuesto también Iván Torresillas. Continuando con el programa, Del Toro prevé a Titanes del Pacífico como una colorida historia de aventura seria, con una sensación muy espaciosa y luminosa, en contraste con el cine de verano cínico súper oscuro melancólico.
What we went for was sort of a thing that I would jokingly call Gothic, because it's like Gothic but tech. The rust and decay of a medieval castle, but applied to the future.
Is Sensei's humble abode?
Guillermo, he has so much to offer in terms of visual descriptions and just levels of detail that he gets into.
Well, we do color zones, but I'm gonna need for like everything to be practical or from a mall, as much as possible.
He has his own ideas and he stays true to those.
Let me show you, because we are very much prop-oriented. The finish is like that of a Jeep. It's very dented, oily, so they are very much mobile things.
The set is aged heavily, it is rusty. You know, it's completely different than these nice, shining control rooms that you see that are very polished in many movies.
Better get ready. And if you notice, a lot of the almost distressed or urban or gothic look about his sets in this, again, are very much based in reality. You walk around the set and a lot of it is huge, great chunks of metal. It's not all plasterboard and, you know, artifice. It's really there.
I wanted the movie to function with a very drab colored universe, lit by very bright colored lights. And what this does, if you create a world that is saturated in colors with an incredibly rich base of blacks, and you apply the same rules to the design of the CG shots, they become of a piece.
It's about unifying everything, and you unify it with color and the way it's aged. Even the interior of our con pods are distressed. They do show their battle damage and all their character.
I wanted to do rust, metals that look used, dinged, damaged, pieces of the wall are falling, the paint is peeling. Because running it looks like rust.
Yeah.
We used to do one layer, one color, then another layer, another, and just where it lands, it lands.
Okay.
So it's 3 colors, I think.
Okay. All right. The whole aspect of the set is we are losing a war. They're struggling to keep everything working. And that's what we really tried to portray in the set, is that, you know, this particular space is a little more claustrophobic.
And let's put the tank there, and we move the yellow tanks where that tank was.
All right, so come in here, I'll rearrange this stuff, and if you don't like it, we'll move it again in the morning.
You can see the decay and just the character that that all takes.
One.
Those big shatter dome doors, they look real. They look like real steel. They're fake, but the level of rust and the level of detail that goes into them, it was great.
This sense of decay in the high-tech structures creates a very romantic feel. The environments are beautiful to look at, but they are not sleek, super designed, futuristic environments. We made the world not feel a futuristic, glossy place, but at a very identifiable, very visceral, very now kind of future.
El director se centró en grandes y bonitos visuales sofisticados y la acción que satisfaga a un público adulto, pero manifestó que su idea principal era la de introducir el género kaiju y mecha en la generación infantil.
The biggest challenge is just wrapping our head around the scope and the scale. It requires us to think about movie making in a different way.
You have a frame of just Gypsy Danger. And Gypsy Danger is 250 feet tall, but if you don't have scale cues nearby, it could be 20 feet tall, you can't quite tell.
We're talking, huge skyscraper-sized things. So there's a lot of scale cues that we had to throw in, little handrails that lead up to a little hatch.
All right, here we go. Parker, 48 frames.
We wanted these things to be believable, but when you stand back and look at them, they read as a cohesive design.
It's gonna be him getting up, hand first, like carrying a very delicate tray,
It takes us out of standard human scale filmmaking. You're dealing with rain and storms swirling around a skyscraper-sized thing that's moving. And it presents some design and some technical problems that I've never quite tackled before to make that read. And it's exciting to see it work.
So you don't have to be synced on that. Okay. You will sync in the punch, and then on the way back one, him alone, and then you join him. And then you guys go on the second punch is the power move.
One thing Guillermo didn't want was very naturalistic, realistic human motion on the Jaegers, even though they're controlled by humans inside of them. He wanted the Jaegers to be machines, vehicles that the humans are in, and to have that feeling.
There's definitely those little peekaboo moments where the scale comes into play. And you see the big gears turning, and you see the pistons pushing and locking into place.
There's some really massive digging equipment that we looked at in terms of just what really gigantic machinery looks like when it's moving and when it stops moving, and how all the little parts look. Again, that only gets you so far, and then you just have to start using your imagination.
The first way you can do scale is context. We talked about moving in the streets, and I wrote a little note that says, "Cars fly like pebbles." Using cars as the language of debris. Like instead of putting just debris, we would put little cars, desks, pieces of paper. When they smash into a building, you would have all this debris that would be so minute.
Guillermo designs events like shipping containers being hit against a kaiju's head and things fall out. So we're dealing with a camera in a helicopter that's looking at a fight, but they're fighting with real-world scale items. So the shipping containers fall apart, and out drops TVs and couches, which Guillermo wants to see because he has this Guillermo sense of humor.
The containers have a moped, a bicycle, a car, living room set. All these things come into play that give scale, but they're also fun. Within the kaiju itself, the texturing, when you go close, you see what looks like a scale, and then you go closer and there's a bunch of bumps and cracks that give you the scale. If you do a close-up in a 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot tall monster, you never get that close. You never get the sense of texture that you get with a kaiju. The second trait that you do for scale is speed. they need to feel heavy. They need to feel very heavy. There was a shot of the kaiju climbing out of the water, and we went through many, many versions because I didn't feel the weight. So I wanted this kaiju to really depend on that heavy, heavy front, and to convey that you need them to move slowly. You don't want the fights to be at the scale of a 6 foot tall monster.
Imagine this is a bus, and this is a bus, and this is a car, and this is a house. You know, that's the scale we're working at, and so it's got to maintain that scale.
I'm very attentive to physics, and if I don't buy the physics of a shot, if I don't think that a piece of debris bounces off, or the atmospheric haze is not conveying the scale the right way, on creatures this scale, it needs to affect the environment around it. It needs to be done in a way that feels massive.
La intención de Del Toro era crear algo original, pero locamente enamorado de sus influencias, imbuido de belleza épica y grandeza operística. El crédito final dedica la película a Ray Harryhausen e Ishiro Honda.
What we have here is the baby kaiju head, and we took this head here, started putting clay on it a few weeks back, and now we're down to crunch time.
This gets bolted onto the front, so now we can lift the whole unit and drive it.
When you're on set, it doesn't seem like it's a project which is full of green screen, even though there's obviously massive amounts.
I mean, maybe that helps.
You need the front of the head sort of buried there.
Yeah, that'll work.
The injectable surface should be around here.
Around there.
I think he likes seeing things on set which work.
There's still some thickness to it, so you want that surface.
So you've got stuff to work with. Even in the back of scene, there's this immense piece of kaiju meat.
That's science right there.
And that helps for a lot of reasons. It gives a great guide for the performances, a great guide for the lighting, so that the cinematographer has something that they can light.
Yeah, that's better. Urban! Okay, look, I haven't exactly had a very good day. I about 5 minutes before brain death occurs. I don't want to spend it talking about your ears. Zip up, light them up. Zip it under light.
There's nothing that beats the tangible things that they're working with and interacting with. And in the case of the interior of the carcass, you know, they're treading, they could have been treading on green cloth, but they're treading on these carefully made objects.
We are stitching the membrane onto the matrix here. This would represent the brain stem or the cerebellum. They're going to be entering on this far point, and they walk along here. And then you can see elements that will be hanging above here that will represent the brain portion.
Off mark.
Ready? Action!
We've reached the upper pelvic area. Moving to the 25th vertebra.
3, 2, 1, action! Got it. All right. Check the gauge. Check it. Check it.
The first thing I said to Gamer was, I think we're going to need a bigger orchestra because the size of this thing, I thought we're going to have to match this. So, you know, what can we do? So clearly it had to be an epic size orchestra. I got very inspired by the script and obviously talking to Guillermo. Guillermo had great ideas that he shared with me and then that really put me on track.
There's a moment where it sounds like a bit like we should make it grow.
Sure, okay.
And enthrone it. Like that's because it's easy to remember.
Guillermo's vision was so clear on this that we clicked right from the beginning. He has a great sense for instruments or music in general. He had a great ability to describe of what he wanted. I just sat down and wrote these big, long pieces of music, these suites, as I like to call them. We had the kaiju theme. He always spoke about having this be very brass heavy and have more of a traditional organic sound for the kaiju. They're equal in size, so I needed something equal in power. So there's actually several themes we have for them as the different categories start to get bigger. They also have like a calling motif. We have these big brass chords that just kind of hint to them. Rally's theme is kind of became Gypsy's theme or the other way around. Obviously they're pretty much ones. It has that more modern sound. And it could play also very nicely in an emotional way, just with a smaller string section and just a solo guitar. We had Mako's theme.
But it's her alone, I think, rather than Pentecost. Right. The other melody is loss of family, which is great, and finding family. I love it. Beautiful.
Cool.
I tried to place the themes in a clever way to not clutter it too much so that you have all these themes going on and then you don't end up using them enough because you have all this overlap. We recorded percussion, strings, and brass. Those are the big three elements that we did separate, and then all the other solo instruments, the erhu, the guitar, all that was done separate. And then we brought in the choir at the very end. We actually came up with some Russian lyrics to have a little bit of that authenticity with it. He wanted really something original that was his for this film, so he referenced the guitar sound that he liked in there, and then he always said, this is not a military film, it's a collaboration between the different countries, and so it's been an amazing experience working with him, and it was just so inspiring to have him comment on the pieces.
El 24 de febrero de 2016 se confirmó la secuela de Titanes del Pacífico. Lamentablemente ya no va a estar dirigida por Guillermo del Toro, pero aún así lo vamos a tener dentro de la producción. Es así como llegamos al final de este programa Detrás del Cine. Mi nombre es Wendy Alvarado, te dejo con una muestra de lo que tendremos la próxima semana.
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica, and I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve. What kind of park is this? Made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet. It's a dinosaur. There's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds.
Grandpa! We're gonna make a fortune with this place.
We're going to open next year, that is if the lawyers don't kill me first.
What species is it? It's a velociraptor.
The park will open with the basic tour you're about to take.
Don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
These are aggressive living things that have no idea what century they're in, and they'll defend themselves violently if necessary.
Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by
65 million years of evolution have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. How can we possibly have the slightest idea of what to expect?
Hey, what'd I touch? We didn't touch anything. We stopped. Anybody hear that? It's an impact tremor is what it is.
Maybe it's the power trying to come back on.
What the hell? Fences are failing all over the park.
Are you hearing this? The shutdown must have turned off all the fences.
Fairly alarmed here.
Hold on to your butt.
Oh, no.
Call the mainland. Tell them to send the damn helicopters.
I can't get Jurassic Park back online.
Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
Come on. We gotta get out of here.
The only thing that matters now are the people we love.
Which is just a delay. That's all it is. All major theme parks have delays.
Yeah, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
We have control
You never have control. That's the illusion.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.